Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my studio. This is my rescheduled live from last night because life took over, as it does occasionally. So really happy to have you here for anybody that drops on, and I'm just going to start straight away because it is awful if you're watching on replay and somebody's just sitting here waiting for people to drop on. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to introduce myself for those of you that don't know me, and I'm going to apologise because my two big children are cleaning the house at the minute, so if you can hear the hoover, that's why. It's being cleaned while I speak to you, so that's awesome and a real positive. So I am Mandy Nicholson, and I am a creative genius consultant, artist and author, and I help innovative female entrepreneurs to launch or develop their successful creative business and make more money. It's a real passion for me helping women, and I'm not changing what I do in this time of adversity. I have, however, noticed lots of things, and I want to talk to you today about many things, but mainly progress over perfection. So firstly, this is just a chat, and feel free to make comments. I won't be able to reply during the live because I'm on my iPhone, but I will reply to all of your comments on there personally once I've finished. So I've been speaking this week and dropping a few truth bombs because I am quite an empath and pick up very easily on what's happening with people and in society. And I believe then when you have the capacity to speak and to share your opinions, and we have that capacity easily these days, then it's important that you do so because you might reach that one person that needs to hear what you've got to say. So even if nobody drops on this live, I don't care. If one person watches it and it resonates, then it's worth sitting here talking to you. So we are being bombarded. I don't know about yourselves, but this last few weeks since we went into lockdown, there seems to be a bombardment on your news feed, certainly on my news feed. Loads of people coming up with these, start your online business, 7 steps to success, how to do this, buy my product, buy my course, buy this. And it is really quite confusing for people, I think. And I think the situation we're in is quite confusing for people in general, because I did a live on this in my group the other day. We are being told, stay in, but you can go out. You can go out for exercise, but stay in. But you can go to the shop for essentials, but stay in. Yeah, and you can go to work if you can't work from home, but stay in and try and work from home. It's really contradictory and really confusing in general, I think. So that, along with then being bombarded with stuff through social media that may make you feel inadequate, or that you are way behind where you want to be, or that you're not doing what all these fantastic people are doing in the time of lockdown. There are people that are doing loads and loads of things and sharing them on social media, and that is awesome, but it may not be awesome for everybody to see that, and it may make them feel worse. So that's why I wanted to talk about progress over perfection, because some of the people that may suffer the most at the moment are people who generally suffer with self-esteem problems, who are maybe perfectionists, and perfectionism can be a real hindrance in itself, because I see it almost as a barrier to taking action. And it's not anybody's fault, it's actually a trait that some people have and can't get out of, that things just have to be just so and perfect. The painting behind me has to be just so before I release it to the universe. The house that I live in has to be just so. The business that I'm about to launch has to be just so, and I couldn't possibly launch it on the world without it being perfect. There are lots of people that have that perfectionist trait, and that is a really difficult thing. When you're in lockdown, when you're being bombarded with stuff that other people are apparently doing wonderfully, and it leads to feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, and feeling less than, I suppose. And I picked that up through people's comments and what I see happening on social media at the minute. So I wanted this week to all be about just being honest and accepting that any little bit of progress that you can make right now is enough, and that progress over perfection is something that's worth introducing into your life, because any small amount of progress you can make is awesome. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Now, I said this, I think Monday's post, I said, you know something? Over the last few weeks, while I've been in lockdown, I have been suffering. Morning, Ange, nice to see you, even though it's over the internet. I have been less than perfect. I'm less than perfect all the time, but even less than perfect over the last few weeks, because my husband's in the hospital, and that's an emotional roller coaster as it is. I've been sharing that story on my personal page. And I've probably eaten more cake than I should. I've probably done much less exercise than I should. I've certainly not done as much work as I should have done. And in general, I've been lackadaisical, and I'm not that person. And I know a lot of it is to do with the emotional state I'm in with my husband being in hospital and having to face that issue and potentially his mortality. That's big. But I recognise that other people are feeling like that as well, that are in lockdown. And that's why I wanted to come on this week and say it's just okay to do any sort of progress. Progress over perfection. If yesterday you could do Sweet FA and today you can hoover your living room, that's actually brilliant, and that's progress, and that's okay, and give yourself credit and a pat on the back for being able to do that. You don't have to be sharing videos of you baking and cooking 3-course meals or doing wonderful things in your community. People do what they want. You don't have to do that. You just need to do what you can do. Now, one of the things that I noticed a lot as well over the last few weeks, because I do watch what's going on social media, is that there's a lot of judgment as well happening out there. It's happened to me in the first week of lockdown, where I shared a tip on drinking water with orange and lemon in that a doctor had shared with Gary. And I got loads of criticism for that from some people that thought that was ridiculous. So there's lots of, when you're in a heightened state in this situation, so you're almost in fight or flight mode. Your senses are heightened right now because you're in a situation that you've never ever known before in your life. So some people, it brings the worst out in them, and some people it brings the best. That's why you're seeing lots of people doing amazing things in the community, sharing that on social media, and then some people are being trolls and judging. It's normal and human nature for that to happen in any situation. It really is. But what it brings on is a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of self-criticism and a lot of feeling less worthy than those people that seem to have their shit going on. They've got their shit together and they're doing all these wonderful things. In reality, though, some people are just eating too much cake and not doing enough exercise and feeling low at times, and that is also okay. Now, nobody's sharing that on social media. Nobody shares the shitty stuff, do they? Because it's personal and it's embarrassing. It's not. You're human, and it's okay to feel how you feel, and it doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying progress over perfection. There are lots of people that experience imposter syndrome and lack of confidence, even people that you would never expect to do that. And I shared this in my own private group for my clients today. And I'm going to use one lady who I really, truly admire and think is amazing. Bonjour. Just had a bonjour there, so bonjour back. And that's Jodie Foster, who I think is an amazing actress. And when she received her Oscar, she actually accepted it, but felt like she hadn't deserved it. She felt like that was a mistake, and that Oscar was actually meant for Meryl Streep, and that she was going to get a phone call telling her to take it back because it was a mistake and she didn't really deserve it. So even people that we admire in the public eye, people who seem to have everything going for them feel like some of us normal human beings feel on a daily basis, and that just creeps upon you and grips you and gives you that terrible gut feeling and takes you into a place in your mind that is not productive. And it's not, but that's okay to feel like that. And what I like to do is to feel those feelings. And that's what I would recommend you do. And allow yourself to accept that you are perfect just the way you are. You are amazing just the way you are. And you are so important to society, because what you've got to bring to society is completely and utterly unique. There is only one you. Nobody else can do what you do. Nobody else knows what you know in your head. Nobody else has experienced what you have experienced in your life. Nobody out there can do it like you. And what's holding people back right now from doing anything is they're looking around, and there's so much on social media, bombarded, that people that are considering going into business, or considering painting that painting, or considering writing that book, or creating that recipe, or writing that song, or making that product, are thinking, it's already been done by so many people. Why should mine be noticed, and why should mine be successful? Well, it will be, because it's not been done by you, has it? It's not been done your way. Your way and you are unique. Too much judgment and not enough self-belief lead you to feeling like that. And actually, this is the Truth Bomb week. It is quite selfish of you to not share your dreams and your ideas and your desires with the world, because there is somebody out there waiting for you to share what you've got to say, either in whatever way you've got to say it, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, whether it's a book, whether it's a painting, whatever it is. There's somebody out there, morning Rebecca, waiting for you to share your unique, wonderful talent with them, because it's going to make a difference to their life. And it's actually quite selfish of you not to do that. It's like stealing. It's like stealing something that could change somebody's life from them, by you not going out there and doing what's in your mind and what's in your heart and your soul of something that you really, really want to do, and following your dream. So I'm not being critical of you here. I'm just saying that everything needs to be shared so that it can help somebody else. And if you're on the cusp, if you're thinking, I'd love to do this, but I don't have the confidence, or I don't have the skills, or God, what if nobody likes it? I'm really scared. And, there's all loads of people out there that are better than me, that have already done it. I want to share a story with you. I actually want to read you a story this morning that is not my story, but it's a story, when I read it, that made me weep. Literally weep. And it taught me so much. And I want to read you just my version of events and point you in the direction of this story if you want to follow it up. So I'm going to be reading, because I can't remember everything. It's got dates in and things. So I'm going to be reading. So if I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm reading. But listen, because this is really important. And the story is about how to end a war, and how a woman ended a war. A young woman named Laima Bowie was born in 1972 in Monrovia, Liberia. At the time, it was one of South Africa's most vibrant and sophisticated cities. Growing up, she wanted to be a doctor, but soon after high school, a brutal civil war erupted. Laima and her family were forced to flee to a refugee camp in Ghana, where her life became one of constant chaos, fear, and unimaginable suffering. Laima found her way back to Monrovia when the fighting subsided in 1991. But a few years later, she gave birth to a son and found herself trapped in a nightmare of domestic abuse. The war had taken an enormous toll on all Liberian families, but especially young women and children. Both rebels and government soldiers used rape and murder as weapons. Lema trained to become a trauma counsellor working with former child soldiers. The first of many powerful steps that she used to turn her agony into action. She vowed to rebuild her life and find a way to build a better future for herself, her family, and her community. In 1991, nearly a decade after the first civil war began and a second war started, life grew unbearable again. Her abusive partner was out of the picture, but Lema still confronted unthinkable horrors. Trucks full of armed men, children seized in broad daylight and forced to fight. Her neighbours carried the wounded in wheelbarrows to makeshift clinics. At the sound of approaching fighters, they would run inside in terror. In her outstanding book, and I can't recommend this enough, and I'm going to put a link to it in the comments after I finish this live. So in her outstanding book, Mighty Be Our Powers, How Sisterhood, Prayer and Sex Changed a Nation at War. That's the name of the book. She recalls in the book the boys in their bandanas and oversized jeans just passed through the cluster of homes, cradling their guns while they looked us up and down and leered. One of these days, we'll be back to fuck you. Lema began a deep study in the field of peace building, focusing on the philosophies of Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Gandhi. Determination and anger replaced hopelessness. In 2003, she helped organise and lead the Liberian Mass Action for Peace, where thousands of Christian and Muslim women came together to march for the cause. They wore white t-shirts and white hair ties, sitting in public protest in the town's open field. Their message was simple and clear. We demand peace. They had seen the worst of humanity and they worked tirelessly, deploying any strategy or tactic they could imagine, including a sex strike, which helped gather much needed international press and support. Day after day, week after week, the women gathered at the field and sat in protest. Lema writes of their time in the field. Dawn to dusk in the heat. It's one thing to go about your business on a very hot day, and another to sit, unmoving, while the sun bakes you. It was a kind of torture. I turned as black as I've ever been, and many of the women broke out in terrible rashes. But there was something compelling in the pain too. Your body was being beaten, but you were doing it for a reason. From dawn till dusk in the rain. Liberia is one of the wettest countries on earth, and the water comes down on you with the strength of a fireman's hose. We sat wretched as the flood sank into the field's sandy dirt. Every day we were on that field. Every day. We refused to go away. Refused to let our suffering remain invisible. If people didn't take us seriously at first, it was our persistence that wore them down. Eventually, Lema and the peace protesters were granted a meeting with the president. Initially, the meeting went well, but nothing changed. In fact, it got worse. And one day, after savage fighting broke out, something in Lema broke. She channeled all that anger and all that rage into a visit to Ghana, where the peace talks were happening in a hotel, and 200 women stormed the hotel and blocked the exit so that they forced the men to continue the peace talks. Even the security guards couldn't stop them. And when they tried to, Layma had another trick up her sleeve. She threatened to take her clothes off. And threatening to take your clothes off in Ghana is seen as a curse on the men that were in the hotel, and it scared the living daylights out of the security guards, and they forced the peace talks to continue. The president was exiled, and Layma received the Nobel Peace Prize for her actions, and the war stopped. Those women stopped a war by sitting in a field. Those women stopped a war by withdrawing sexual activity with their partners. So men were not able to have sex. They did it en masse. That is an amazing feat. And when I say progress over perfection, it's a decision to do something. Your something doesn't have to be that big. It wasn't that big a thing for Layma to gather women together and sit in a field. But they didn't do it for an hour. They did it persistently, consistently, and never gave up until they got what they wanted. So if you want something, it's about just doing one little thing every single day and making progress. It doesn't have to be perfect. Those women sat in the heat and in the rain in white t-shirts and white headbands. That's all they did until somebody took notice. And they said, what else can we do? What else can we do? I know, let's stop our men from having sex with us. Whatever you decide to do, it's the small steps towards it that you take that get you there. But not doing anything and withholding your extreme talent and your fantastic offers, services, products that you've got within you that are your dream, that are your calling, is what potentially withholding something great from the universe and from this world, because you'll change it for somebody. You might not stop a war, but you might stop a war for one person. And that's why progress over perfection, for me, is everything. The act of picking up a paintbrush, and I've got hundreds of these, and putting it to a canvas and deciding to paint what's in your mind, your soul, your passion, may change the life of a person who looks at that painting. The words that you write on a piece of paper may change the life of somebody that reads that paragraph. The talk, the live that you do on Facebook may change somebody's opinion of you, or it may change something that they've always planned to do. So wherever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to escape from, whatever it is you want to change, whatever it is that you want to follow because it's your dream, your passion, take one small step towards it today, and another tomorrow, and another the day after. There doesn't have to be big things, but any small thing is progress. And that's what I wanted to drop on here this week. Has all been about stories and truth bombs, and I hope that that has helped one person, and that one person has watched it all the way through, and that it's made a difference, and that it makes you think about doing something that fills you with joy, or something that you've always wanted to do. That's why I show up here. That's why I give my time free to you guys to talk to you. But if you want to honestly, if you're at that cusp and you want to do something and you think I'm the person that you want to work with, then I'll put a link in the comments as well for you to click and book your free discovery call. It's free, a 45 minutes discovery call, business strategy call, whatever you want to call it. If you're on the verge of starting a business or doing something and you've been thinking about it while you're off, that one little point of progress to have a conversation with somebody might be enough to give you clarity so that you can make the decisions to get you to your dream that potentially is going to change somebody else's life. I wish you much love and colour, and I'll put my link tree in the comments as well. So if you want to, if you're not already connected with me, add me as a friend, join all my business pages, my groups, etc. Find me wherever I am on the link tree. connection, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you want to drop me a message, if you want to be in contact, you know where I am then. Much love and colour. Have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and remember, whatever small progress you make today, it's enough.